hopefully something sweet. Sean Kelly on Mono Green Aggro versus Yuma Koizumi on Sultai Ramp. And Mono Green's on the play.
Yeah, Mono Green on the play, pretty big deal, especially with 1 mana play with Lovestruck Beast.
Heart Desire, like you said, that's going to rumble in for 1 here, and then imagine Scavenging Ooze joins the party. There's some options here, maybe a little Stonecoil Serpent. Ooh, that's actually going to be the play.
Yeah, I like making sure the Scavenging Ooze actually gets to eat something like a Euro from the graveyard, get a little bit of value. Wouldn't be surprised to see Lovestruck Beast come down from the Adventure Zone next turn. Wouldn't be surprised to see Gem Razor either.
Land go for Koizumi. Pelt Collector picked up by Kelly. Just easily the worst top deck in the deck.
It's actually not horrible here though. Pelt Collector plus Scavenging Ooze applies a good bit of pressure. It varies your casting cost a little bit against something like Extinction Event. But luckily, that's not going to come down for a couple turns because Growth Spiral's not around. So you got a little time. It's going to deal a little bit of damage.
Yeah, actually, it does look pretty fine here. That one was maybe scripted off of seeing it come down in spots where it's much worse off the top.
Oh. Obviously, yeah. 1 mana, 1/1. Not the greatest in the world after turn 1, usually.
Ooh,
I think, yeah.
Yeah, this spells some writing on the wall as the Pelt Collector was eliminated. I feel like we are ramping up to an Extinction Event.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Lovestruck Beast here from Sean Kelly, just as a way to counter that. And he actually has another Lovestruck Beast in hand, which he can use. But it might be better to Gem Razor here just to get a little bit more burst damage. I think the problem with that, though, is that the mana cost will be even no matter which side you choose because Gem Razor on the front is a 4 mana card.
Mm-hmm. Like you said, though, it does get the most damage. Looking at an attack for 9. Nothing going at Narset. Part of that has to be that Narsetted into Narset, the old dig through time and the dig through time.
Yeah, shock Extinction Event, though.
Shock for land number 4. We knew this was coming. Extinction Event. Get those evens out of there. Now Kelly has to regrow. Before we go that way, though, Koizumi's going to take another look with Narset.
I think I would have liked to have seen 2 points go at the Narset to prevent this specifically from happening. At the very least, you might want to try to keep your opponents with Sultai Ramp off of finding the Extinction Event, because even if they didn't have it already, they could have -2'd the Narset and had another look at the top 4 to find it, and I think that would have been pretty gross.
Eliminate picked up. Now Kelly draws Garrick's Harbinger. That has hexproof from black. Maybe that one can do some damage.
Yeah, hexproof from black, super interesting ability for this particular spot. We know that Yuma has an eliminate in hand, can't target it.
This is interesting. I mean, Koizumi has something. We saw a shock for land number 5 down to 3. How does Kelly navigate this?
Gets eaten by a Shark Typhoon, almost certainly.
It maybe runs into a shark. It is the shark. 3/3 shark shows up to block.
Primalmite, why are you sorcery?
And there are 3 main deck Ether Gust for Yuma. That has to be what Kelly was respecting, making that play. It's tough. These Sultai decks really do squeeze you with a lot of different kinds of interaction.
Oh, they do. I mean, counterspells, removal, planeswalkers with powerful passives. There's a lot to like about this Sultai deck for sure.
And Lovestruck Beast, it'll make a 1/1 token. Here's Heart's Desire. We'll see if that token makes it to combat. Ooh, how about just the negate? That cleans up all of that.
Here it is, though. This is the play. Gem Razor on top of Lovestruck Beast becomes... Oh, no, that's not
it maintains all of the abilities, yeah.
That's a big one.
That's quite.
Womp.
And just stare at your opponent on 3 and watch them pull away with the game. There's some potential ways that this could still go Kelly's way. I think kind of the big card we're looking at is Questing Beast. Ooh, well, there's one off the top, but this Hydroid Crisis is now a good blocker. You see Gemrazor just cast.
Yeah, you don't really want to play the Questing Beast. You want it to be like a surprise attack, I think.
Okay, and the angle is likely that the Gemrazor has Trample. Maybe this Primal Might could present lethal this turn.
Yeah, I mean, if there's like a tap out for Nisu Shakes the World, just like a big Primal Might, fighting the Hydroid Crisis might actually be enough to get the job done.
Kelly's not going to have a lot more shots at it. We'll see exactly how this turn plays out. Barkhide Troll peeled off the top. Cedric Phillips' favorite card, the Barkhide Troll.
It's very good. A 2-mana 3/3 is something that I would have like been happy with in most aggressive decks back in the day, but this one is just even better than that. Not only does it like put a counter on itself instead of just being a 3/3, so you have some synergies with some various cards like Conclave Mentor and things like that, but you also just like have the ability to give a hexproof for 1 mana, and obviously it shrinks a little bit, but that's like a pretty big deal against decks with a lot of spot removal.
Does he go for it?
Do you go for it?
Here's Primal Might on 1. Let's pump. Let's fight. This is 5. If this works,
to bump you up.
It doesn't though. Here's a huge Ether Gust. Miss like me this. With that. Put it on top. Yeah, whatever. We'll put it on top. We'll try again, but we'll see how Koizumi can tighten the vice. Gonna finally play that backup Narset. Goes looking for more spells. Shark Typhoon. That one's gonna help close this game very quickly. Agonizing Remorse, get that Questing Beast out. We know Gemrazor's coming off the top. Goes to 4 for the trouble, but there's gonna be a giant blocker on the way with that Shark Typhoon as the floor to interact with that. Still 3 cards we don't know about. And I gotta say, Todd, something I really admire about you is that we're watching the same game, and you still had it in you to sing Barkhide Troll's praises when it was not remotely competitive in what we were looking at.
No. I mean, obviously, so games of Magic to me are obvious, like they're microcosms. They're little self-solve or like self puzzles or whatever that you have to solve in like a short period of time, and where you have someone who's basically competing against you at the exact same time to do the exact same thing. Barkhide Troll is a piece of an extremely different puzzle than what this game is. But that doesn't mean that it is bad in the matchup. And it certainly doesn't mean that the card itself is bad. Most cards drawn right now from Sean Kelly are bad because as this game progresses to this point, the mono green deck is just unable to compete on as far as standalone card quality is concerned with a Sultai ramp deck, because the aggro decks tend to be very low to the ground, have their cards be kind of like an overwhelming rush of things. So a single sweeper like Extinction Event killing 3 creatures is just incredibly backbreaking, and I don't think that there's a good way out from here.
A lot of things snowballing now. We see Nissa, Shark Token, Uro rearing its head for the umpteenth time. Shows up, escapes right away. That life total buffer, and the game was really difficult before. Kelly had some opportunities. That Primal Might was probably the best look Kelly had at closing this game, and doors just getting a little bit more closed all the time. 8 points fly across.
Yeah, the life point buffer here also just means that like every draw is just a blank. Like Forest is just as bad as every other card in the deck. Like it's not like the delta between the two is that much different. And there it is, folks. Pelt Collector, best draw in the deck. He's gonna get there. John Kelly wins game 1 with a Pelt Collector off the top.
Yeah, you want to take the opportunity to draw that last card to potentially leverage that complaint equity of seeing the literal Pelt Collector. Not like the mighty Barkhide Troll.
Look, Barkite Troll is going to come down here on turn number 2, and it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to pump a Pellet Collector. 2 turns later, it's going to catch a Gem Razor on it, and it's going to be able to use the ability to protect itself. It's going to be extremely good.
Well,
Is it
I'd
good?
like to see it.
Yeah, I also love to see it.
See some Okame adversaries, that little Death Touch creature to combine with these Ram Throughs.
If I'm Sean, I'm getting these Primal Mites out my deck, man. Like I feel like if you're playing against a deck with a bunch of Ether Gust and Eliminate, something like Primal Mite just ain't it. Am I dumb? I don't understand what's happening.
I mean, when the game gets down to these positions where Koizumi is using all of their mana, what we often end up seeing is like some kill spell to try to get at parity, leaving up one blocker. Primal Mite's going to be your best shot at lethal if Koizuma's at 6-ish life, somewhere in that ballpark. So I like the card in that spot. You can definitely get flooded on it.
Sure.
And here is the turn 1 Pelt Collector after a mulligan. Hand looks pretty fine for it being a mulligan. Elder Gargaroth off the top is quite a bit worse than a land, but if some lands come streaming, we could see a nice curve here. Scavenging Ooze joins the party, and Pelt Collector gets in for 2.
Oh man, Mr. Phillips in chat right now screaming, "Barky, he's the best!" Man, I wanted a Barkite Troll and says Primal Mite so bad right now. So it would have been a 3/3 that pumps Pelt Collector at 3/3, and I would have been like, see how good he is?
And you mentioned you might not like Primal Mite. This isn't the exact scenario you were describing, but there are going to be some spots where, here it's certainly worse than a land. Not that that was an option. Just saying. Eliminate on Pelt Collector. And Kelly, no creatures left on the battlefield. Koizumi still making land drops. Another Primal Mite off the top. That is the opposite of what the doctor ordered.
All right, I'm not 100% on what conventional wisdom says, so I'm going to ask this one for Cedric Phillips. Cedric Phillips, I can ask him this question: is Primal Mite a card that you leave in against Sultai? Because I honestly don't think so, but I would love to hear what Cedric thinks, because there might be a very specific reason I'm missing, and I really don't want to overlook those things. So. In 3 minutes, Mr. Phillips, please answer my question. Thank you.
Stonecoil Serpent showed up as a castable. Pretty easily dispatched by Heartless Act, though. Narset keeps going to work. We see a Shark Typhoon. Nissa, who shakes the world. Nissa, who closes games. The land's also continuing to come. I think Sultai Ramp's about to claim another victim.
It seems to be doing that quite a bit these days. Except for Team Recycling deck, which is rad, and you should burn all your wild cards to play because it's rad.
Help me, Autumn Burchett. You're my only hope. Garrick's Harbinger finally shows up off a Castle Garenbrig. A 4/3 against 1 and soon to be 2 3/3 lands. Ugh. On curve, it does look pretty nice. But that's kind of just the issue with the green deck at large, right? You do really need to curve out. Here come the lands. Kelly down to 11.
I mean, I suppose Primal Mite's maybe okay here, because the Garrick's Harbinger has Hexproof and Black. But what if there's just an Ether Gust? I mean, what if there's anything? What if there is a literal any spell from the opponent?
Well, if you were combining it with the mighty Barkhide Troll, you would have no such worries. Kelly considering this Primal Mite. Gotta do something. Really behind on these lands on this Nissa. You see a face-up Shark Typhoon. Extinction Event is waiting for you.
All right, 2 mana. Primal Might. Try to give +1/+1 and fight a land. Let's see if this works. I cannot imagine for the life of me that it will possibly work. We'll see.
So
I mean, even if it does, like, what's, great. Kill the land, dude.
Here's Primal Might on a land.
You can attack that Nissa for 5. Good thing it's got 7.
Yeah, if it works, you get to jam the ram through, but there is a 3/3. There's actually a 5/5 shark waiting in the wings. And how about Ether Gust? It's actually targeting the might?
Oh, man. I mean, I guess you don't want to get absolutely dumpstered by Ranger's Guile, which you probably expect out of the sideboard.
Yeah. That's actually pretty heads up. Koizumi actually needs to lose on a lot of interactions to fall behind. So the Gust on the Might was pretty nice, now that you point out Ranger's Guile.
Yeah. They're like effectively the same thing. Your land trading with the Garruk's Harbinger is pretty relevant. But just say the fact that like a single Ranger's Guile can just actually put you in the bin seems like a fine trade-off there. Like obviously as a 5/5 shark, just like no possible attack, just like no way out. Just literally no outs.
Ram through kills a land. Extinction event.
There it is.
Exiles the Harbinger. And activating Nissa means that this 5/5 shark plus 2 lands is 11. That's going to be lethal. That's going to advance Yuma Koizumi to 4-0 with Sultai Ram. For Sean Kelly, falls to 3-1 on mono green aggro. Going to need more turn 2 Barkhide Trolls going forward. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was not an ideal curve. We saw a mulligan, we saw a little bit of a stumble. Pretty often we have players, on camera that their deck just doesn't come together. That's kind of the nature of Magic. And we haven't seen a lot of that in the era of the London Mulligan because decks are able to kind of